It's day 129 of 10 random magic cards rated. Let's go a hunting, see what we can scrounge up. It's foil, everybody. At one point, this is going to be the new, Force of Will. Not sure it ever actually was. This is 4 mana, 2 and 2 blue for an instant. You may discard an island and another card from your hand instead of paying foil's mana cost. Counter target spell. Okay. So Force of Will, 2 for 1's you to counter a spell for free. Right? This 3 for 1's you. It's like Wizards was like, how far will you go for a free counter spell? Will you 3 for 1 yourself? And you have to get rid of a land drop. And I know that doesn't seem like much, but Control really wants its land drops really, really badly. But at the end of the day, this is still a free counter spell. And those will always be good. You see this one from Prophecy, $2.51. Would not surprise me if this is one of the most expensive cards from Prophecy, because that set is remembered, just underneath Fallen Empires and Homelands even, as one of the worst sets of all time. Butt of many jokes is Prophecy. But most of these cards, most versions of these cards, it's not like they're expensive. I won't say they're expensive. Like the list, right? 50 cents for this list reprint. Ultimate Masters, 44 cents. They're not expensive, but they're also not 10 cents. This one from Mystery Booster 2 is $65, and I could not tell you why. I know that it's in the Future Sight thing, but we've seen cards in Future Sight frames from Mystery Booster 2 be 50 cents before, so why in God's name is this $65? I have no idea, but still. I do have to pitch some love to foil, because it is a free counterspell. It ended up being not as good as we thought it was going to be right when it first came out. Even back then, it wasn't as good as Force of Will could ever. It could never hold a candle to that card, but it was still a played 4 of counterspell in blue-white control decks, which were a thing. It was feared for its time. You could never just play whatever you wanted into tapped out mana, because foil did exist. So it has its place, and I think that it's still occupying that place in Magic history. It's still a decent card. That's what that's dev speak for. I will give foil a 5.9. Remember, we just did Force of Will the other day, right? And it's like a 9.9 or whatever we gave it. It was like a 9.8. Extremely, extremely high score for Force of Will. Which means I will actually give foil a 6. I will give foil a 6. Pitching a total of 3 cards, because, right, you're getting rid of the foil, too. So pitching half of a full hand is nowhere near as good as Force of Will, but it's still a free counterspell, and you got to respect it. Move on to Rancor. God, that was so good. What a good day so far. Rancor was originally printed in Urza's Legacy. It is a green mana for an enchant creature. The creature gets +2/+0 and trample. And when Rancor is put into a graveyard from play, return Rancor to its owner's hand. This is $1 from Urza's Legacy, which I think is a steal. I really do. I think that $1 for the original printing of this card is a pretty good price. But yeah, Rancor is still great. This is still one of the best auras ever printed in the history of Magic, and is good to this very day in Commander. I'm not sure how much Modern or play this season. It is legal in Modern, but or Legacy play for that matter, right? But in Commander, it still has a home as a 1 mana aura that, not only does it provide a lot of value for 1 mana, but in most cases, it's going to draw you several cards, depending on how many enchantresses you have in play. You lose that guy, cool, Rancor comes back to my hand, I play it again, for 1 mana, I draw 2 cards, 3 cards, whatever. And there are even setups where you sacrifice your dudes on purpose, like tokens or whatever, to get Rancor back into your hand. Cast it again, boom, draw 3, sack that guy, cast it again, boom, draw 3. So Rancor has all of these spots that it goes into to give you card advantage, and just to give you a lot for a single mana, even if you're not doing weird tricks with it. It's just getting you so much. It kind of, one of the worst things about auras is the ability to get 2 for 1, right? And some auras that cost 2, 3, 4 mana, they might draw a card when they come into hand, they might return to your hand, right? But they still cost so much mana that you're kind of getting blown out in terms of tempo. But Rancor solves the aura issue by both coming back to your hand when the creature dies, so you're not going to get 2 for 1, and unless they blow you out when you go to cast Rancor in the first place, but you have less of a chance of getting 2 for 1, and it only costs 1 mana. So if you do have to recast it, especially mid to late game, it's really not tripping you up that much in terms of tempo to recast a Rancor. So what an amazing Magic card, dude! like an 8. Like seriously, like what do you give what is maybe on the short list of best auras of all time? This might even be the best aura of all time. We'd have to get a conversation started, but it's definitely in that discussion. When we huddle up and start talking about that, it's definitely going to be, on the dry erase board. So, yeah, I will give Ranker an 8, and you can yell at me, but I don't think I deserve to be yelled at. Why are you booing me? I'm right. So let's move on to Guardian Augmenter from Commander 2021. This is 3 mana, 2 and a green for a 2/2 troll wizard with flash. Commander creatures you control get +2/+2. Commanders you control have hexproof, which is a pretty sweet ability. So if they go to, I've never seen this card in my life, by the way. You think I would have. You really think I would have, but never seen this. It costs $5 to buy both versions of it that have been printed, and you'd think they'd print more of them. You really do. 3 mana to basically play a counter spell. Listen, if they target your commander with something, you can flash this thing in and effectively fizzle that spell, and the commander gets even larger. You flash this in. If a commander goes unblocked, you can flash this in and do more damage or whatever. That's extra commander damage. So, yeah, this card's kind of bonkers. I mean, it really only helps your commander, but just like you built your deck around your commander, you'd probably prefer them to have hexproof. And you'll probably accomplish that goal with like Swiftfoot Boots and stuff like that. But, Swiftfoot Boots, you go to equip it, they kill your guy and blow you out or whatever. It's not a blowout. You only lose like 1 mana in that exchange. But still, you don't feel good about it. It's the opposite. It's not like you go to equip something and they cast their removal spell. This is when they cast their removal spell, you blow them out. That's fine. It's just sitting there, They can't target your commander till they kill it. I like it. I like the cut of its hair. I like its tusks. Good tusks. Kind of reminds me of like a Lady Ganon, Oh, Ganondorf. Well, not Ganondorf. Ganon. That's correct. Still, this is good. It's like a 6.2 or something. It's not that good. You still have to devote mana to it. It takes a slot in your deck. It rots in your hand until you need it. You know what I mean? Like, it's not as good as I'm probably rating it here. So 5.98. Like I think we're approaching 6 on this. This card's awesome. This card's cool. City of Shadows is up next from the dark, man. This I have a copy of, and I'm glad that I got it when I did it. I got this card like 4 or 5 years ago, something like that. And it was like $8. It's like $8 or $9 from TCG Player. It's now $60 from the dark. You can tap this land and exile a creature you control to put a storage counter on city. You can also tap this thing and add a colorless mana for each storage counter on city. So, no, you can do this at instant speed, though the first ability. So if they go to target one of your dudes with removal, you can just, okay, fine. I'll exile it, put a counter on city. And eventually, it sucks at first because it doesn't tap for mana, right? You have to come down on board presence to get this thing to tap for mana at all. But the moment you've sacrificed your second creature to it, it becomes crazy. Like, it's a land that taps for 2 mana. The moment you sacrifice your third creature to it, it becomes one of the best lands in the history of Magic the Gathering. So, like, I know you have to come down on board presence, and it's not even like you get, value from like death triggers or anything, right? So you have to pick your spots, but it turns out your opponents are going to pick your spots for you most of the time because they're going to target your very good dudes with removal spells. At that point, just exile them. Who cares? Especially if it's your commander. Sure, exile it, goes back to command zone. Who cares? So City is going to start producing 3-4 mana over some games. The one downside is that if you do want to make it start producing more mana, you can't use it for mana that turn. That kind of sucks, but still an amazing card that didn't really start getting its due until a few years ago when CEDH kind of started, becoming a real format. And I really do think like maybe correlation does not always equal causation. But if you look back like 4 or 5 years ago when CEDH started becoming like a more, especially like 2 years ago, CEDH started becoming sort of more talked about, written about, attended format, City of Shadows started to explode in price. And again, correlation, not causation. But I think in this case, it has a big deal to do with it because people re-examined how good this card could be. Very, very good Magic card. I will give City of Shadows an 8.1. It is a land that can tap for a buttload of mana. You want that. Also, I know it doesn't affect the score, but excellent Tom Wannerstrand art here from the dark. My favorite set of all time. My favorite set of all time. And it's because of aesthetics like this. Look at this little town. Look how cool the little town. Look at the moon in the background and how it shines. Look at the halo on the moon. Look at this tree. Look at this creepy tree in the foreground, right? Just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful art. Really gorgeous. But anyway, we'll move on to Hammer Mage here from Mercadian Masks. This is 2 mana, 1 and a red for a 1/1 Spell Shaper. You can pay X and a red, tap it, and discard a card from your hand to destroy all artifacts with converted mana cost X or less. Isn't that actually kind of cool? Again, good art here by Rebecca Gay. Anytime you see her, she's fantastic. But yeah, so it costs maybe 3 total mana to blow up like all the rocks on the table. 4 total mana at the absolute most if they've got like coalition relics and stuff like that, chromatic lanterns, things like those. So that's not bad. And also like he just sits on the table until he's got like another relevant artifact to blow up. Like I don't think this guy's that bad. I really don't. But I like spell shapers in general. I think spell shapers for Mercadian Masks are, an underlooked at, you know what I mean? Like I want to say underappreciated, underrated, but I just think that most people don't know they exist. They haven't looked at Mercadian Masks and its block, right? And they may not even be aware spell shapers exist, but there's a whole cycle of these guys that like basically cast a spell, by discarding a card from your hand and tapping down. Some of them are really good. There's a black creature that's a 2 mana 1/1 in Mercadian Masks that like casts Raise Dead, right? Like you pay 2 mana, you tap it, and you bring a creature from your yard back to your hand. That thing is actually really good. Like, I don't think this thing is that bad either. I think people need to reevaluate or just learn that these guys exist in the first place. That said, I think I will give him sub 5, 4.5, because, he doesn't always do the thing, and you have to wait a turn for him to do the thing, in which he'll probably be removed. So he's a little bit fragile. I think there's definitely issues with the guy, but if you ever can activate him, he's doing a lot of work for you, But we'll move on to Either Spellbomb. We have done this card before in the past. It's very good. This card is actually very good. It doesn't look that good. It's pretty good. Move on to Typhoid Rats, a single black mana for a 1/1 rat with Death Touch. This is originally printed in Innistrad. What do you give just a 1/1 Death Touch with no upside? What does that get? You guys are going to think I'm nuts, unless you don't. 3.4. Really, how good in Limited is a 1/1 Death Touch for 1? It's unbelievably good. It's so good. There's not a whole lot of better ways to get like relevance on a 1-drop without having to go into like the rare, rarities. So I think this is actually very relevant. But, it's a rat too, so it might go in rat decks from time to time. Just altogether, I think Typhoid Rats, I think like any 1-drop Death Touch thing, even with no upside beyond that, is actually like better than the vast majority of just like drafty, crappy, chaffy Magic cards, right? So, 3.5. Dead serious on that. Next is Legions of Limdul from Ice Age. This art that I've looked at a lot. Do I remember what this card does, though? 3 mana, 1 and 2 black for a 2/3 zombie with snow-covered Swamp Walk. So it's 3 mana for a 2/3 zombie is what this actually is, and nothing more. Better than a Scathe Zombies, I guess, but it's still like a 1.2 or something like that. It's really, really bad. So next is Judy. Judy's here. Judith the Scourge Diva from Ravnica Allegiance. Get your copy, man. It's 20 cents. I've already got the deck built. I've had the deck built for like 3 years now. This is 3 mana. One of the 3 commander decks I have built right now is this lady. 3 mana, 1, a black, and a red for a 2/2 legendary human shaman. Other creatures you control get +1/+0. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, Judy deals 1 damage to any target, not just to, an opponent or anything like that, just any target. This doesn't say each opponent, so it is a little bit harder to, kill everybody than you want it to be with your Blood Artist and stuff. But this is Mayhem Devil. It's like redundant with Mayhem Devil in its own deck. Dealing a damage to any target is actually crazy. It's actually really good. This is a Blood Artist effect on an Anthem effect, and I love it so much. This is easy one of my favorite commanders of all time. There are some commanders I haven't even played with that are among my favorite commanders of all time. But this one and, Elis Okor, Marieke Rebarret, Dina, they're among the ones I have played a fair number of commander games with. and this is right up there. It's like Eliso Core, and then this, and then maybe Marieki, right? On my list of favorite commanders ever. So I want to give this the honorary 5, but since this is a casual commander thing we're doing here, I actually think I can get away with proudly giving Judith way more than just a 5. This is my favorite Rakdos commander of all time, and I want to be as objective as I can with these ratings, but sometimes even if I understand that my bias is creeping its way in, I can afford not to care. This is my series, and I'm just kind of having fun rating cards. So I'm going to give Judith a 6.4, and you can agree or disagree, but I love this lady. I love this lady so much. She's my other fiance. We're getting married. All the jokes I do with Eliso Core, but Judy, you are, side piece. She's who you want as your side piece, right? Fun loving. She's into all the stuff you're into. You know what I mean? Let's move on to Rampant Growth. What do you give Rampant Growth? Originally printed in Tempest? No. Mirage? Is there a Mirage Rampant Growth? Tempest. Mirage. It is in Mirage. Crap. Is it even in Tempest? Oh, this is the art that I thought was from Tempest. So I just completely whiffed on that one. All right. I knew there was a Mirage one. Doesn't matter. Oh, no, there is a Tempest one. It's right here. How come all of these look like crap? Okay. This one doesn't. Why is it doing that? That's really strange. Okay. So Rampant Growth is it's 2 mana, 1 and a green for a sorcery. Search your library for a basic. Put it on the battlefield. Tap. Shuffle your library. Excellent card. They won't reprint it in standard. I was hoping maybe we get it in Foundations, but we already have Glimpse the Core. I don't think they're going to give us 2 like Rampant Growth effects in standard, and they didn't. They are cowards, but Rampant Growth is still this is just a good ramp spell. It goes in everything. If you want to ramp, play Rampant Growth. It's even right there in the name, Rampant Growth. This is like, again, you guys are going to be so mad. You're going to be like, what does this make sense? But I think it does. Rampant Growth is like also a 6.4. Like it really is. This card is still good to this day. I think there are better things. Land Grant is pretty good. Like Farseek is still very good. But Rampant Growth, man. Sometimes the oldie but the goodie. I guess more people play like Cultivate and Kadama's Reach and stuff like that. But as far as like 2 mana ramp goes, Rampant Growth is still actually amazing. And to be honest, I kind of want to give it more than a 6.4. I really do. I'm like poised to give this card a 7. And I think that some people in the comments would understand me giving it a 7, but I don't think I'm quite going to go there. But the card is just in a vacuum, like really powerful. It's hard to deny. It really is. But next is The Wedding of River Song. This is 3 mana, 2 and a white for a sorcery. Draw 2 cards, and you may exile a non-land card from your hand with a number of time counters on it equal to its mana value. Then target opponent does the same thing. Cards exiled this way that don't have suspend gain suspend. Time Travel. For each suspended card you own and each permanent card you own with a time counter on it, you may add or remove a time counter. So it's only the ones you control is how time travel works. So, I guess technically you have a better chance. Okay, you have a better chance of actually getting your thing off before them. But there is kind of a game here because your opponent's going to want to get their suspend card off first. So it's kind of like both players have a choice, like they can put something huge in suspend, or one player can assume the other player is going to try to do that and put a lower mana value card suspended so that they get their card first. Ultimately, I think this card's bad. I don't have that much more to say about it. I could sit here and analyze what it actually does and the game you're supposed to play when you do play it, blah, blah, blah. But I think that the bottom line is the card is just kind of not very good. So, and the price kind of reflects that too. It's like, unless I'm just super wrong, I don't think it's good. So I'm going to give this card it's white and it draws 2. And like you play whatever you want for free eventually, right? I guess that's fine, but this is still like a 4, right? Am I crazy? It's like, you let me know if I'm crazy. I might be just dumb. I think it'd be more dumb than crazy. That might be. It's entirely possible. We'll move on to Garrick. Primal Hunter from Magic 2012. Still a couple of bucks to pick up Garrick. 5 mana, 2 and 3 green for a 3 loyalty Planeswalker. +1 to get a 3/3 beast. -3 to draw cards equal to the greatest power among dudes you control. And then -6 to put a 6/6 green worm creature token onto the battlefield for each land you control. So this does doubling season. You know, if you have doubling season or something in play, then you play it and you can immediately ultimate it. That seems gross. That's good. But the -3 might easily draw 3 or 4 cards the turn it comes into play. At which point, like, I guess you don't have the Planeswalker anymore. But you were able to draw like 5 cards. That's not bad. If you +1 it the turn it comes into play, and then everything stays the exact same and he doesn't lose any loyalty, the next turn you can draw at least 3 and keep the Planeswalker out, which I think is good. But just +1ing to put a 3/3 into play every turn is okay too. It's not great on your 5-drop, but it's, you know, Creature Factory. You kind of want that. Altogether, a solid Planeswalker. They really knew how to make Planeswalkers at the very beginning of Planeswalkers, didn't they? Just solid. Not amazing. Not amazing. But not bad. Like, actively not terrible either. So I think I'll give Garrick a solid 5. I think that's about where Garrick sits. 5-ish, you know, give or take. Wow, it was a long one today. Sorry about that. That's all of them, though. Love you guys. See you tomorrow. That'll be Saturday. How exciting. Bye.